new show. Corione, you want to try and give us another rundown like you just did?
Well, I can try.
So
well, okay, so Slow Horses, to me seems like the basic concept is, this is where, this camp is where, spies who are not totally up on their spy game get sent so that they won't cause any more trouble. And it's an opportunity for them to, kind of be in the doghouse, if you will. That seems to be what the ranch is. And our main character has been sent to the spy equivalent of the doghouse, which is for the slower horses, if you will, in the horse race. And that's kind of where it starts out. We're introduced to our main characters, and we get, the basic premise that these guys are we've got if James Bond is kind of the equivalent of Cobra Commander, this is kind of where Destro is hanging out, or the Dreadnoks, if you will, if you catch the reference. These aren't the best agents out there, but you know what? I think they've got the potential to definitely show us something impressive down the road. I mean, we've got a lot of individual characters here who seem like they're coming together, and it seems like we've got a decent little core group, right? So so our main character is River Cartwright. She has managed to completely botch a training mission in a terrible and hilarious way. So she's excised to the Slough House, which is for kind of a purgatory, to see whether they can straighten up and fly right and get back into the good graces of the top of MI5. I guess that's the best I got right now. You guys want to go for it here?
Yeah, John, why don't you give your thoughts?
So I really
first
got
of all,
this.
actually, sorry, I need to ask this question. Did you guys watch both episodes or just one?
Both.
Just the one.
Oh,
for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I watched both episodes.
I'll try not to ruin it too much.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
It feels like we're getting another slow burn, similar to the way Severance opened. Like, there's a lot of possibilities for what could happen and where the entire story could go. Obviously, we open with what appears to be a real high-stakes situation, but is later demonstrated to us is a botched training event. And the only reason River is kept in the company is because of his family ties to MI5. And I feel like that is a complete misnomer. I feel like the whole first two episodes are a bunch of exposition that doesn't actually relate to the story. And it doesn't relate to the bigger story that's going to be told. The way it really felt like it was opening at first kind of felt like Slough House was a government-run ISIS from the show Archer, the international spy organization, something like that.
Appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, no, not the Islamic State, but the one from Archer. And it really felt like the main person who runs Slough House is like a male version of Mallory, except the exact opposite in terms of telling people to go to work. He's saying stop working, and that felt forced. Just his complete unwillingness to do his job in a job that doesn't really need people like him.
So, that was...
Yeah, go for it.
That was not the impression I got from his character, actually. I could see where you're coming from, and I get it. Like, that's what he's definitely supposed to look like. But his character moments are in those very brief, especially in the second episode, when he's analyzing the situation to himself. Like, he's already thinking that the bad guys there's a lot more behind them than what we're seeing. So I'll just go ahead and give my quick rundown. When it first came on and they started getting into like who the villains were or whatnot and who the bad guy was, I was like, really? Eye roll. Here we go. We're just gonna rehash the same political nonsense, right? Then they went further with it, and I was like, okay, I like where this is going in a different direction. I didn't really think that this was okay. This is different. So I'm gonna stick it out, and I'm gonna see, because I like the idea behind it, because I think what they're going for is probably going to be similar to Peacemaker in that they're going to be like, oh yeah, look at us, we're just as woke as everyone else, and then the end of the show is going to end with, no, y'all need to stop being stupid, we're all in this together, which is kind of like sort of the ending that Peacemaker was. It touched two extremes and brought the more reasonable people together at the end, and I feel like that's probably where this show will go. I really hope it does, because I mean, if by the end it's more divisive and it's just all that kind of stuff, yeah, we don't need that. We have plenty of that out there just on Twitter alone. We don't need more people hating each other over story, and this, especially since this is made up. However, the fact that they're taking the ideology and they're like saying, well, what if in like a different world, instead of Islamic terrorists, you have actual right-wing terrorists that are actual terrorists? And okay, we'll see where it goes, and I'm intrigued by them actually going to the lengths that they're going so far. As far as the rest of the show, slow burn is a good way to put it. Right now, I wouldn't put the writing against the same caliber of Severance. Granted, they're two different shows, but this one seems to be kind of more direct, which is okay. It's not a bad way to tell stories. So I don't think we're gonna. I think we might get some twists and turns that we don't expect, but I do feel that the focus of this story really is like the writer came up with a crazy premise, and he wants to put more focus on the characters. So I think we're going to see a very character-driven plot, not so much with the concept, not so much with the story. I mean, the story is going to be driven by the characters, as we've already seen. I like it so far. They seem to play off each other well. Everyone's chemistry is there. I think Gary Oldman's character, we're going to really start to see him shine as the show goes on. But his job he's not saying don't do your job because he doesn't want people to do their job. He's saying don't do your job because if you screw up here, you're out. Like, this is the last stop for MI5 screw ups. You're not going, there is no like remedial class after this. This is the final level. This is it. So I think it's more of a, yes, he's coming off cynical. Yes, we're a do-nothing part of MI5. But he's really doing that secretly to keep the people protected. Because he strikes me as a guy who's been placed in this department on purpose. And he's the one who basically helps them realize, hey, you guys need to stop going all, 007 secret agent, because the reality is that's not how intelligence works. Intelligence is a team game. We all need to figure out how to work together, and I don't have time for any of your, cowboy nonsense. So, we'll see, though. This is more just prediction and educated guessing based off of what I've seen so far. I like it, personally. I think it's got potential to be... It's doing stuff that's not really typical of spy shows. It's kind of taking a little bit of the other guys, but then it's also like kind of trying to give us a believable story, so to speak. I don't feel like they're gonna bust out, super crazy gadgets. I don't think that's the direction they're going at all. I think they are trying to stick to more realism, similarly to the excellent BBC Sherlock, which we could do a whole show just on that show alone. But I think it's got potential. So Curio, based on the first episode, how do you feel?
Well, I feel like the right-wing terrorists are going to be a red herring. I feel like that's not going to be what the actual big bad of the series is going to be. Just on what I saw, I was sitting there watching this going, boy, wouldn't it be great if it turned out the bad guy was like another nation state. I mean, you can pick anybody, like a analog Russia or analog China, because it's the UK. Those would be the two primary intelligence issues. And have, like, somebody trying to sway these people over to effectively become moles or, hapless, like useful idiots for this other nation state. Like, I feel like that would be a great way to take what they've already built and really go with it. Like, these guys are not the best agents. So, some, like, for lack of a better term, because, not that I think this goes on at all or anything like that, but, like, let's say the bad guy was China. Have, like, some Chinese agent effectively manipulating these screw-ups into giving him larger access into MI5. I feel like that would be a great place this story could go, and very easily go, because these guys do view themselves as, like, kind of the better, like the cowboys of the spy trade, if you will, even though they've been kind of hobbled like this. So I feel like there's a potential for great storytelling where somebody comes along and tries to buff them up, but really they're just using these guys to get in deeper into MI5. I feel like there's a lot of potential for some good storytelling when you have, not the best of the best, and put them into situations that would require the best of the best to deal with, or we're used to seeing the best of the best to deal with. A textbook example of this is the Orville. The Orville does this fantastically well, and I think this has the potential to do that fantastically well.
Yeah. It's I think I think it's in episode 2, so sorry for the soft spoiler here, but Gary Oldman's character, he starts to, like I said, he starts to suspect that he's like, some of this just doesn't add up, and he's already kind of going towards that false flaggy kind of mentality. So yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a try. It's pacing was pretty good overall. I mean, it gets a little dry at spots, but it's not like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I gave Peacemaker a chance. It's only fair I give it. Plus, Apple's been really good to us so far. So as far as content goes, I think we'll see where this goes, and it's got potential.
So I don't want my review to come off as negative. So the reason I bring up the slow burn parts and that is so that anybody who comes in is gonna understand that it's not one of those. It definitely didn't open super thrilling, aside from obviously the chase. In the
hook.
Right, but that predictable hook right away was a misnomer, and that's what I was leading to. Misdirection. And I bring that up because that's the same vibe that I got from Gary Oldman's character, is that we are introduced to this drunk who is at the bottom of the barrel. The grandfather of the main character, he's not forthcoming about any of this guy's background, except he knows everybody else's background in MI5, and he has very entrenched relationships with the majority of people in MI5, but whenever this other guy's name, Gary Oldman character's name, is brought up, he just says nothing, or he completely just misdirects right away. He's just like, no, how's your day? Right? And that's what I mean by the misdirections, and these first episodes may or may not actually mean anything in the later parts of the season. And it's not to say that, like, we're not getting useful information, but I think it's trying to do a version of what Severance did, where they want you to come up with your own theories in between the episodes and try to figure out how this show is going to end. But at the end of the day, like, you're not going to know until you watch episode 10 or 9, whichever one it ends on. And that's what I really felt with these misdirections in this first 2 episodes, was that none of these characters are being accurately portrayed, and none of the reasons behind them being in Slough House is the same in any sense. Like, they brought it up many times that, like, this is the end of the road or you get kicked out, but I don't see government organizations actually holding on to people they don't want. And so that makes me think that Slough House is supposed to look like I think Carry On's onto something, especially in terms of a foreign intelligence trying to infiltrate Slough House, which is supposed to be the most disgruntled and disenfranchised members of MI5. And I think that if anything, they're a honeypot. Like, they're meant to look that bad so that they can catch those people. But I feel like with River being added to the team, I don't think it was oh, you don't belong in MI5. I think it's, oh, you're a very, like you said, Karen, you're a cowboy. And Slough House is the cowboy house because the cowboys can be blamed for everything. And when they get stuff done right, MI5 takes credit. And I really got that vibe that, like, they're not as bad as they're supposed to be portrayed. Like, they're not failures. They're just individuals in a community, and the community doesn't want those individuals messing with the whole community, so they made just a small community of individuals.
Yeah,
So-
they're not team players, and that's why they're there.
Yeah, but I don't think that's I think the misdirect is in us thinking that, like, they're all on the verge of being fired. And that, I think it's such a misdirect because it's being reiterated so much. And I think that's the point, is, like, we're supposed to think of these people as incapable because that's what their superiors defined them as. But their superiors don't even know the real reason behind Slough House because they're not the superiors of the organization. They're just their superiors.
Well, and I think it could go another direction too, in that it sets up it could go the direction of plausible deniability. Whereas, like, the Slough House is, where we keep the MI5 rejects, so to speak, or the idiots, or the guys who get the screw ups. But that also affords the organization the opportunity to have a section of itself that if they get called for a mission and they screw it up, it's like, oh, well, these guys were all the screw ups anyway, so, and they went rogue, which, okay, no, it's not MI5's fault, it's actually these guys who screwed up. And I almost wonder if maybe that's why Gary Oldman's character is the way that he is because he knows that they're the pawn, so to speak. They're the ones that get thrown into the garbage job if they need, like, a government, sanctioned operation that if they get caught, then the government's screwed. So instead, he's, like, trying to make sure that, okay, if we do get sent into an op like that, we're not gonna be the fall guys, and we're gonna still come out of this. But I don't know. I like... See? So maybe the show's writing is actually better than I thought. Because
So you're kind of thinking of them like kind of almost like a Suicide Squad kind of thing?
Yes, but, like... Yes, very similar to that, but not, like, explicitly stated or sanctioned that way. And it's more of a, okay, here's this dark black op that we're going to send the screw-ups on, and obviously we don't want the screw-ups to fail. It's not like that, but it's in the event of failing, okay, guess what? You're the screw-ups, y'all are going to prison, bye.
Look, I see that. I think is the misdirect. I don't think they're a Suicide Squad. I think they're more along, like, the way Gary Oldman keeps telling River, just come to work, don't be useful, do what I say, don't do anything else. I don't like you. I don't want you here. You should have been dropped out. Like, all of that makes River only more indignant and more entrenched in his belief that, like, even though he may not be considered MI5's greatest spy, he's still going to attempt to be the greatest spy. And in doing so, he's actually taking the time to go out and solve this stuff on his own, which is that it goes back to that plausible deniability. What if we keep making the Cowboys feel completely outcast, so they go do it as if it was their own choice, and if they succeed, MI5 takes credit. If they don't succeed, they go, well, that's why you're at Slough House, sit down and shut up. and it's so more that they can get the cowboy action without, without suiciding them, without directly sending them on any ops. Like, they're not. I don't think any of these people are going to be chosen for any operation. That being said, the way the world or the organization MI5 is actually like putting up a fight against their actions, like they're breaking all the rules, like very, very illegal breaches of confidentiality and top secret government information, and their whole approach to like reprimand is, please don't do it, stop, you can't. Like, they're not, they make it seem like these people are on the edge of being fired, but it's like that edge is a mile long. And the only reason that they would do that is so that they keep testing the boundaries, and every time they get away with it, awesome, MI5 wins one. But every time they don't, well, yeah, that's why that guy's at Slaughterhouse and he's not in the central command. And it's like, get what you can from them, because that's all you're going to get from them, but also don't let them infect the actual pawns, the ones that are the paper pushers, the ones that are just doing research, because those people are necessary for the daily grind of intelligence gathering, but these people are necessary for that wild, out of the box, gonna do the dirty, gonna be Jack Bauer, gonna be James Bond. Like, it seems like Slaughterhouse is where James Bond would have come from.
Yeah, I'd agree. Look, I think the answer could be possibly both, right? I think both of you are onto something here, right? Because if you needed a team with plausible deniability that you didn't actually send them, you've got that. If you need a bunch of cowboys to go look at the problem from an angle that you hadn't intended anyone to look from initially, you've got that too. This, I think, as it stands right now, we have, both options are viable, right? I like the idea that it also could very easily just be a honeypot to catch, foreign actors who are trying to invade MI5 as well. There's a lot of great places this could go.
Yeah, and
and if we were getting a long form 32 episode season, I'm willing to bet we'd see all of those options on the table.
Yeah, and I found out this is actually based on a book, so we may have to pick that book up and do a read through and then see how it compares to the show. Because I don't know if maybe they're just borrowing the concept, like a certain book we're about to talk about, or if maybe they're actually like following the story to a certain percentage of accuracy. So I think we'll have to see about maybe doing that. I don't know, maybe next week or the week after, well, when we do another book segment. But now we got another Apple show to follow for the next little while, since Severance will be saying goodbye next week. But at least we have a season 2, so there is that to look forward to. Alright, so we do have I would say a pretty fast segment coming up. Any final thoughts one way or the other for...
I feel like Slow Horses is on the track to take over for Severance. It's 100% fun. It's just not in-your-face, action-packed fun. And honestly, that's what I like. It's what I like about Severance. It's what I like in a good series, especially one I've never heard of. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to give this at least 3 or 4 episodes to see where it goes.
Absolutely. I will give it till I'll probably, I think this is only another 9 episode season, and I think we'll see where we're at, and we'll just talk about it each week, because we don't have an obligation to stick to any shows, even though we do a lot of Apple TV promos here. We are not actually sponsored by Apple, so if we don't like it.
That being said, Apple, if you do want to throw us some free product, we're not going to say no.
Yeah.
You want to let me finish these seasons early?
I will go on record right now and say that if we get an Apple TV sponsorship for this show, we will have at least one segment devoted to one Apple product every week for sure. But that, Apple production show. I am not doing an iPod or an iPhone advertisement. No.
Doing iTunes reviews starting now.
No.
I don't know. I think you do pretty good on those iPod dancing commercials. I think you could manage it.
I would make a great silhouette in one of those.
I should
see,
mess
there we
with
go.
After Effects. I'll get us all silhouettes. You know, that'll be the new opening theme. Is just us dancing with you know, Carrie Owen and I rocking the dad bod while John's there. Maybe he'll probably phase out of churn on a couple of frames, but you know.
Yeah, if I twist to the side, I go 2-dimensional and you can't see me.
All right, now.